All right, all right, all right. Answers by guess. What up there, people?
Hey, you know
What's
what?
up, kids?
This week we changed the name of the show.
Two.
Answers by Rob.
Oh, don't you
Why?
start that.
Why, you might ask? Well, Rob had the best calls of the week. Rob, Rob,
Yeah.
Rob lit a fire on you. Welcome to Answers by Rob, week 5.
Just give you a heads up. I'm going in and out a little bit here, so if I look like it could be possible that I'm frozen.
And just a heads up, if I look like it's just because I'm tired. Tired. You know what? Switching things up. Not
As you
only,
said last year, sit down, old man.
yeah, for real, like this is lay down, old man. Like, quick. Rob just asked me if I was going to the New
I have
Kids
more
on the
coffee to
Block
say I won't.
concert. Rob said, "Are you going to go to New Kids on the Block concert?" I said, "Old men on the clock." That's about how
I
I
love it.
feel. Um,
I love it.
we're going to change the name of the show to Answers by Rob, and I'm not going to do a recap. Why? Because pretty much what happened this week was nothing outstanding, and the few bad calls um, that we have to categorize them as that were guys that I didn't like in the preseason, heading into the season. They were guys that I told you don't go after them, like Miles Sanders, Robbie Anderson, Miles Gaskin, Will Fuller, Mike Davis, Rondale Moore. These were guys that I was like, and they did a little bit here and there, and they had a lot of buzz, and a lot of people liked them, but there were guys that I wasn't excited about, that I kind of had a feeling about this week, but they didn't do much, and I'm just like, why am I changing my tune? Why am I going to talk good about somebody when I don't like them? So those guys I just named, I mean, I don't want to recommend them anymore. I don't want to even if they do well, I don't care. The Miles Gaskin love was ridiculous in the preseason, and I'm glad that that has derailed. I'm hoping something goes better. The Will Fuller project, try to warn people about that. He's hurt already. Um, so we'll just jump into this here. Like I had said, I had a feeling about Mike Davis on Sunday, but I didn't like him at all going into the season. So I need to stop just feeling good about somebody that I don't feel good about, because I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction. Because you know, if it were me, I wouldn't want anybody doing that to me. And we'll talk about that. So I'm going to go to the 5 notes real quick. So the one main one, I'll say first, kind of what I just said. Everything is rounding into form. I feel like the first part of the season is over now. The 4 weeks are done. It used to be 16 weeks we would play, so it was like 25%. The first quarter is over, and I feel like when this quarter ended, it's a little less than a quarter now because there's 17 weeks we're going to have to play. Um, I feel like we're rounding a little bit into form. And I know there's going to be a lot of waiver wire questions. Nobody has to tell you who's hurt. You should know these things. People are going to go after this guy, and this is why tonight's show is Answers by Rob. Rob talked a big game about Damian Williams. Um, whether it was just the fact that Matt Nagy loves him from his time together with him in Kansas City, or just he was sort of uh, worrisome about Montgomery. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about Khalil Herbert. And Damian Williams is also a little bit banged up. He's going to be a number one if he plays. But all of you right now are wondering about waiver wires, and every single one of you, and probably any manager in your league that pays attention on a weekly basis, is going to put in a waiver claim for Damian Williams. most people are going to forget about Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert could be the only healthy running back for the Bears this week. Khalil Herbert will likely get the Damian Williams treatment while Damian Williams gets the Monty treatment if Damian Williams is healthy. People aren't going to go after him. And unless you got the number one waiver wire, you're prepared to spend 50% of your budget if you do fab. You're not getting Damian Williams, so go ahead and get Khalil Herbert. The same goes for the Bengals with Joe Mixon. People are going to go after Samaje Perine. Okay, depth chart, right? We look at the depth chart, we stalk it. We drive a white van, we check out that depth chart. Peep it around the corner, cruising slow, laid back. But Chris Evans is somebody I told you about early on. Chris Evans is going to get burned. So he's somebody you go after as well. So you look at Khalil Herbert, you look at Chris Evans, because you probably aren't going to get P. Ryan, and most likely are not going to get Damian Williams. Javonte Williams looks amazing. It's only a matter of time. If he's, for whatever reason, still available, or if you got something you can get rid of, you get him on your team. Javonte Williams and Michael Carter, like they're about to take over. It's gonna happen.
You call that Jets offense, man.
And that's another thing. Jets offense. They're gonna get better. And this is why it's Answers by Rob, his big call of the week. I've always, and I actually had to talk Rob into this a couple of years ago. When Rob was talking down about his Jets, I said, "You just signed Jamison Crowder." He's like, "Yeah, well." I'm like, he's a PPR man. He's a monster. The only problem with Crowder is he gets hurt all the damn time. So he had this game. He'll probably have another good game, and he'll be hurt week 6 or 7. And it stinks, but yeah, you get him. Spencer, I don't know if you're watching, but I hope so. Kudos to you. Taysom Hill's going to take over. That is a better team with Taysom Hill. I don't care. It's going to happen. At least, they have too many dead drives in New Orleans. Too many terrible throws and decisions out of Winston. He's the same old guy. At least with Taysom in the game, he can make some throws, but he can also make it happen with his legs. Spencer, you got a gold mine there. Because you're playing.
He's here, man.
You're playing in a super flex. He took him on a whim. It's gonna happen. They're going to turn to Taysom Hill. and even if it's a 60-40, you won. They're a better team with him. Miles Sanders is a problem for more than one reason. Philly doesn't run the ball. They don't run. I wasn't big on Miles Sanders going into the season. Go back and watch the preseason show. The main reason, because I was very big about Mr. Gainwell. And now I see Allen's on there and a couple other questions, and you hear it it's like I've been telling you about Gainwell since the preseason. He was somebody I told you go out, you get Gainwell. I said Gainwell, I said Evans, I said Roundtree, and they haven't popped off yet, but Gainwell just popped off. And if you had him, you'd have him. So, yeah, we like Gainwell. And it's the reason that Miles Sanders is a problem is because of him. But then also Boston Scott's still there. And they don't run the ball enough, but they throw the ball to running backs. And Miles Sanders can catch passes, but they're not using him in that capacity. So it's a problem. And this is everybody's... I don't know. What's the word I can use? Let's not try and be spectacular. Love affair is Cordarrelle. Now, a week ago, I came on the show. I told you, first time's a fluke, second time's a coincidence, third time's a trend. It was 3 straight weeks of Cordarrelle. Now, the top has blown off. 3 touchdown performance, right? something you got to keep in mind that I noticed when I was going back through the box score and the plays and everything today while I was at work getting ready to get into my real work duties. Um, he played a super small percentage of snaps. Super small.
What do you have, 34 yards or something like that on
Yeah,
4 catches?
his value right now is that he's a wide receiver that in Yahoo and probably a couple other leagues has running back eligibility, the duality, very valuable. And the fact that running backs are doing so terribly this year, like, I mean, maybe terrible is a strong word, but it's less production than what we're used to from running backs as a whole. That's where he's valuable because you could put him in, and Atlanta needs pass catchers, right? So you could put him a wide receiver, and that's pretty much the role he's playing, wide receiver, as a running back. And it's like, boom, I got a fourth wide receiver. Atlanta's throwing the ball a ton, and I can put him in my running back spot. And at worst, he's my RB2. Sorry, Rob. Um, and that's where he has value. But my warning is I would not be trying to trade for him at this point. He's still not playing a ton of snaps. I think he ran 8 passing routes. And he caught 5, I want to say. And
Yeah, I think it was 5, maybe 4 or 5. I'll check it.
Three of them were touchdowns. Um, it's a tough percentage to hold on to. And then here is your bonus. Right? I told you Khalil Herbert. You want to look at him. Chris Evans. You want to look at him. I'm not going to say Gainwell's name because I told you his name 5 weeks ago. And this is somebody Rob likes. And we've said his name before. Wayne Gallman. I don't think Mike Davis holds on to this job. He has just looked terrible. Now, he's somebody who I thought was going to have a good game. I thought it. And he's the poster child for this intro. I'm no longer going to say I like this guy today because if I didn't like him going into the season, I don't like that. No, go away from me. Wayne Gallman's going to take this job. Wayne Gallman can catch passes. Wayne Gallman is shifty. I don't know what's up with Mike Davis. He's not Carolina Panthers Mike Davis. That was why we said in the preseason, avoid Mike Davis. Wayne Gallman looked way better. And I would not be surprised if they go away from Davis. And at worst, for Gallman, this becomes like a 50-50 at running back. Because Cordarrelle is not playing running back for them. I mean, he's playing like 30% of the snaps.
Yeah, he had 6 rushes for 34 yards. That's what I was indicating before. I forgot that he had a ton of receiving yards, don't get me wrong. But, again, from a duality standpoint, 100 yards is 100 yards, man.
Sure, 100%. But I'm not going after him aggressively.
Agreed.
But if you have him, continue to use him in your RB2 spot because you probably don't have a better option because real running backs aren't producing like we're used to. So that's where he has his value. But there's some names out there because everybody's going to go after Damian Williams, and it's probably not going to happen. I mean, most leagues are 10-team leagues, so you have a 10% chance or less of getting Damian Williams. So you got to have some other guys to go after.
One person that I want to talk about, if you're in a quarterback situation, if you feel like your quarterback hasn't been playing well, I've been looking at Heineke, man. Going up against the Saints defense who just got beat by the Giants. Kid put the team on his shoulders. It was amazing some of the plays he was making while taking the hits, while going down, chucking the ball up. That scary Terry play at the end. I mean, there was a ton of times where I'm just like, all right, Washington's done. And then they would surprise me. Heineke would be moving in the pocket or avoiding the sack. I'm actually thinking about picking him up as a backup quarterback for when, I don't know, Joe Burrow might have tougher matchups coming up that maybe it makes sense for me to have a backup quarterback like a Heineke who, again, I really think Ron Rivera knows how to use him the right way. They got lucky too. Don't get me wrong. A lot of luck into it as well. But this is 2 or 3 weeks in a row that he's actually played really, really well.
Sure, yeah. Heineke looked great last year in the playoffs, without a doubt. I was always team Heineke. I was even team Montez more than I was team Fitzpatrick.
You love Montez, man.
I think they're better with Heineke than they would be with Fitzpatrick. But, Fitzpatrick will probably be the starter when he comes back. But you mentioned, how Rivera's used him. He didn't use Curtis Samuel very well now, did he? Could have been the first game back from the injury, but same old with Rivera and Samuel. So he's somebody I did not like in the preseason. Let's see if it gets better if you're a Samuel owner.
I'm hoping for one big game out of him, to be honest with you. If I can get a big game out of him, that's when I package him with somebody who's looking for a wide receiver and something else to be able to try to move up 2-for-1 kind of deal. So I think the name holds more value just because they think of, oh man, Curtis Samuel, he played great last year in Carolina. Yeah. I think that's the guy that I need to go after.
Right.
Or I'm willing to take that trade. So, All right. You want to go into some questions?
Yeah.
All right, here we go, guys. Alan, yo, what's up, man? How are you, sir? Spencer, go Yanks. Haha, not really into baseball, but from New Jersey. All right, man, go Yanks. They're sucking it up right now, down 3-0. Cole's not looking the greatest, but it is what it is. Dig the new music. Yes, the intro. That's
our jam.
That's actually a guest special. He actually is the one who created the music for that intro, man. So definitely cool. Spencer with the question: Damian Williams a pickup and drop Marlon Mack. I have Mixon going out most likely. I have number one priority. AJ Dillon and P Ryan is also on waivers.
Yeah, I spoke too soon on Dillon. Gave him the ball, and look what happened. Damian Williams, you're going to have him for 5 weeks because the 6th week is their bye. Montgomery's not coming back till after their bye. I'll put a guarantee stamp on that. So you have 5 games of Williams. He is a little banged up. And like I said, Khalil Herbert's going to get some burn one way or another. Not the majority, unless Williams is hurt or gets hurt more. Dillon's role can only really grow. He had a lot last week. Dillon sort of gives you more of a season-long value, but these next 5 weeks of games that Damian Williams can play in, and he was getting burned with Monty healthy, that's a tough one. I would look at your bye weeks, Spencer, see what works for you. I got no problem dropping Marlon Mack. I picked him up where I could last week. No trade happened. There will be a trade that happens, I'm sure, but I saw him play on Sunday and he didn't look very good. So,
from one perspective, what I looked at, because I was thinking about picking Damian Williams back up in our leagues, his schedule's not easy coming up. This Bears, this week they're playing, what's it called? They're playing the Raiders. Okay, there may be some easiness there. After that, you got the Packers, who the Packers and Bears always are low-scoring defensive games for some reason. After that, it's tough for them. Buccaneers, 49ers. And and against the Steelers on a Sunday on a Monday night. Those are pretty hefty defenses for those 3 weeks. I think I agree with you. Spencer actually sent a message to me earlier asking the same question, and I told him I'm looking at Herbert. Khalil Herbert is somebody I'm paying attention more than Damian Williams because of the fact, like you just said, he's already showing as being hurt. There's questionables. There were times during the game that he had to be coming out. Herbert is that guy that again is a little bit of that X factor like Montgomery was this week.
So here's what you do. Spencer. You get A.J. Dillon with the number one, and then you pick up Herbert because nobody else is with your second waiver wire claim. And then you get a piece of the Bears and a piece of the Packers, and you pad your bench with a couple nice backup running backs. Because you're not getting Williams and Dillon. And there's no sense of having Williams and Herbert. So you might as well get Dillon and then get Herbert. Right?
Yeah. And again, I mean, the Bears offense is going to be relying on Justin Fields. If Andy Dalton is the starter, how does that affect Damian Williams as well? I mean, there's just a lot of question marks that I'm not willing to juggle with as somebody that I would put in a, my RP2 or a flex kind of deal, especially with the schedule that's coming up.
And I said a week ago when we were answers by guest, because once again we're answers by Rob this week, that I see Mooney overtaking A-Rob as the number one in Chicago. I don't think A-Rob's going anywhere. He's going to have some really big weeks, so long as they stick with Fields. But I think that, the writing's on the wall. Mooney is going to take over and be the true wide receiver one for this team by next season at the latest.
Yeah, man. Good call on that one. Randy with the questions. 2 to start. Sadly, Chris Carson, Damian Harris, Damian Williams, J.D. McKissick, PPR.
I'm starting Damian Harris without question. He's had 2 poor weeks, and they're going against Houston. I know that because I'm a Damian Harris pretty much almost across the board, and I've been eyeing this week as a get-right game for him. And then you got to go Damian Williams, just because he's got the starting job now. I know that Rob just told us he's going against the Raiders, but we saw what Eckler and all of the backups were able to do last night. So I'm going the 2 Damians. Damian.
Yeah, and this would be the week again to use a Damian Williams, even the following against Green Bay. If you're in a tight situation, it just makes me nervous. Those other 3 weeks, like you said, until they get to that bye week. Plus, you have Tyreek Cohen coming back, somebody to pay attention to as well. I know he's not eligible until week 7. It's a couple weeks away, but maybe that's what they go to. He loved Tyreek Cohen when he was healthy. So another Damian Williams from Spencer. I was thinking of dropping Rondale Moore or Marshall instead of Mack. If Mack lands somewhere, I guess Rob suggested to drop Mack. He'll be good or not worth. Is he worth the stash?
I drop Mack for Dillon if you go with the plan that we just said, or you can go with Damian Williams, and I hold on to the 2 wide receivers. But if you drop Mack for Dillon, then I would drop Rondale Moore, and that's probably sacrilegious amongst a lot of us in here, for Khalil Herbert. I'm not dropping Terrace Marshall because he's the number 2. I think it's clear that it's not Robbie Anderson. It's Terrace Marshall at this point. And DJ Moore looks absolutely unstoppable, but sooner or later somebody's going to stop him at least a little bit. And Marshall's been involved. So if you want a piece of the Bears and you want to do the A.J. Dillon Herbert combo, regardless, you're dropping Mack for the first one and just holding the 2 receivers. You're only dropping Moore if you want to pick up Herbert on a flyer. You could probably, it might be too late. I don't know if anybody's going to pick up Herbert before now and Sunday because I'm not sure anybody's thinking outside the box like we do here at Answers by Rob. But what I want you to do is if you don't go after Herbert and let's say you pick up Dillon, you could probably maybe even try and package up Rondale Moore and Marshall and get somebody even better, like a better wide receiver, and then just pick up Herbert for free.
That's actually a really good idea. I like that. Somebody I would target with possibly getting the Waddle had a really bad game. Tua is going to be coming back soon. That may be somebody that if you package those 2 guys, getting a Waddle just because he's of the target share he's kind of been seeing. And again, once Tua gets back, that may be something to pay attention to. And I think that they had a pretty good going until he got hurt.
I think he can go higher than that. I think he can get
Really?
somebody. I do. I think that Rondale Moore people are still living off of week 2. You know,
That's a good point.
so
Or
I
maybe
feel,
it's a. I know you're saying get doing a 2-for-1. Yeah, maybe you should try. I mean, go high. Might as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
All right. Michael C. with a question. In a point per rush attempt league with a max of 4 running backs, I'm wanting to try and claim Damian Williams. I'm already having Gibson, Mixon, Henderson, and Chuba. The only one I'd consider dropping to pick him up is Chuba, since it looks like CMC is practicing and close to returning. Should I drop Chuba to pick up Damian, or just stay put?
I would drop Chuba. I wasn't. If you go back to last week, like I wasn't as ecstatic as the world about Chuba. I mean, Chuba's nice. Chuba is more attractive to me as the backup to CMC, somebody to come in and spell CMC. The exact production you got out of him is pretty much exactly what I expected. And I had said even last week that CMC is probably going to be back week 5. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But Damian Williams, you have 5 weeks out of him. And I would do it. I got no problem dropping Chuba. A sexy move, which unless you have instant trades, is do like a similar type of thing that I just said to Spencer. Henderson and Chuba, ship them off to the CMC owner, get a better running back, and then just pick up Williams for free. Because Henderson's going to get hurt again. It happens every single year. You know it's coming.
Yeah, that's why in my dynasty league I traded Henderson and Goff and a first rounder for Kyler, just because I had a feeling Henderson wasn't going to last. Goff is but the first round pick is going to hurt. But we'll see what happens.
It's okay.
Bad play has been Sutton. LOL. You know what? I agree to a certain point, but he's still got 7 or 8 targets or something like that. And plus, you got to think Teddy B got hurt.
They didn't throw the ball much. No wide receiver did anything for the team. The running backs played well, and Noah Fant was the best one. Tim Patrick didn't score a touchdown, which he does every single game. The wide receivers didn't do much. Drew Lock came in halfway through the game against a tough defense. Looks like Drew Lock's going to be a starter. I like that for Sutton. I think Sutton's going to be more than just fine. The wide receivers didn't do much for the Broncos this week.
All right. Did I not put all the... Oh, no, I did. All right. I don't know what to do. I have Monty in both leagues. In one, I can replace with J-Rob, but in ABG league, I only have Rojo. I have the third priority. Can I get something, or am I screwed? They say he might be held out until after their bye week.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the guys I mentioned are all available. So yeah, grab one of those. Put in a bunch of claims. I mean, there's no maximum
until you get somebody. Yeah. I mean, I would have 3 or 4 choices, dropping the same player. And if you get one of those 4, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Alan K with the question, waiver ads, Gainwell.
Of course.
We kind of went over it already, but.
Yeah. Yes. Weeks ago.
This is something I thought was fairly interesting. Deebo Samuel for Kamara and Allen Robinson. Half-point PPR, Keith is asking.
If you are getting Kamara and Allen Robinson for Deebo Samuel, you do that immediately.
Correct. You smash accept
immediately.
100%.
Keith, I hope you are watching. If you are, say hello. That way I know I don't need to speed dial you when the show is over. You need to do that if you are getting Kamara and Allen Robinson.
Totally agree. Sean, let's go Yankees. Haha. Enjoy your show, gentlemen. Thank you. Yes, let's go Yanks. I know it's not looking too great right now. Expectations for Damian Williams. I luckily handcuffed Monty in a few leagues last week. We've already gone over that. Any updates on Montgomery injury? 4 to 5 weeks, they said, but like I said, it's probably going to be after the bye week.
Yeah, it'll be a total of 6 weeks, 5 games, because the 6th one will be their bye. They're not going to bring him back before that. There's no reason.
Totally agree. Sean, let's go Yankees. Haha. Enjoy your show, gentlemen. Thank you. Yes, let's go Yanks. I know it's not looking too great right now. Expectations for Damian Williams. I luckily handcuffed Monty in a few leagues last week. We've already gone over that.
Any updates on Montgomery injury? 4 to 5 weeks, they said, but like I said, it's probably going to be after the bye week. They're not going to bring him back before that. There's no reason.
Marty, is Patterson the real deal for the rest of the year? Ridley and Pitt seems to be getting more targets, but not doing much yet. You kind of mentioned it. If you want to go over it again.
Yeah, it's exactly what we said. I mean, we mentioned. I said it a week ago. I said, one time is a fluke. That's week one. Two times is a coincidence. That's week two, and three times is a trend. And this is what I said last week on the show before week four, and that was four times. So yes, he's valuable. He's valuable because you can play him as a running back, but he's a wide receiver. He's the second wide receiver that this team needs, which is also pretty much what I said on Sunday's show. Um, they've needed a second wide receiver ever since Julio went away, and when Julio was there, they needed a third wide receiver. For years, we kept hoping it would be somebody, but it just never was. People thought it would be Russell Gage going into this year. I said no, and he's way out of the picture. So it's Patterson. But the problem with Patterson is he's not playing a ton of snaps. He's just super productive when he's in the game for whatever reason. It can't be defense are leaving him alone. He's getting open, and Matt Ryan's finding him. That's no knock to him. I'm not saying I want nothing to do with Cordarrelle Patterson. Do I wish I had him on my team? Sure. Why not? He's getting a ton of points each and every week. The problem is if somebody makes some sort of adjustment to worry about him, then what will happen, right? Because we've seen Patterson do this before. We just haven't seen him do it this consistently for this long of a stretch. Even in his days in Minnesota, it was never like this, right? So his value lies in the fact that you can play him as the RB2 because running backs have not been like we're used to. They haven't been performing as well. But I think that's starting to round into form now. You got Zeke coming through. Eckler had his big week. Gibson, Taylor, they did well. So the running backs are starting to come around. But that doesn't change the fact that if he's your RB2, you're gold for right now. I said I would not be trying to trade for him. I also don't know if I owned him if I would be trying to trade him. Just because of the duality. You can play him in both spots, but what you have to worry about is that if Gallman does what I think is going to happen, he takes over the running back role and he has success, there goes all of Patterson's snaps at running back. He's already only playing like a 30% snap share. He's not on the field a lot. It just so happens wherever he's on the field, he's being super productive. So that means he's no longer getting those running back yards because Gallman is being productive. They're using him as a running back because Mike Davis has been doo-doo. If Gallman is productive, like I think he will be once they make the switch, I think it's going to happen. We'll see. That's my guess. There goes those. So now you just have him running 8 routes a game. Will he continue to get 5 targets and 8 routes or 5 catches and make 3 of them be touchdowns? Probably not. His value probably will never be this high as it is right now. But I really don't know what you even try and get for him. So you're better off just put him in your lineup until it blows up. I don't know. Patterson, he's an enigma of sorts at this point.
You would think that defenses would kind of pick up that, hey, this guy's in the game, he's probably going to touch the ball. Because that's usually when he's in the game, he touches the ball. So if he's in there, that should be your focus. I honestly think going to temper expectations, I think Guess is right. You still start him based on everything that you've been seeing out of him. But the Jets defense, I know they were playing Tennessee last week. Atlanta's offensive line isn't that great either. I can see a lot of pressure, and I can see them trying to take Patterson out of the game and let everybody else beat them. Could Ridley and Pitts beat them? 100% yes, that is correct. But I think what they saw last week, they do not want to let the same thing happen to them on national TV in a whole different country. So,
yeah.
Michael, mounting out 3 to 5 weeks. Thanks, bud. Herbert or Gainwell?
I think you have season long value in Gainwell. I think he's just getting started. I mean, I loved him in the preseason. He was one of the guys I said before week one, I said Eli Mitchell, Roundtree, Evans, and Gainwell. Like, those were the four guys that I would be going after. While everybody else chases everybody else, I said, get these guys. And, like, we already saw what Eli Mitchell could do when he was healthy. We've seen what Gainwell can do. And Evans could be this week. And Roundtree is just an injury away. And he looked good last night when he got a few snaps, finally.
And to be honest with you, Sony Michel is, I mean, McVay's not happy with him. That fumble and so on and so forth. We didn't see him much really after that. This could be some funk getting in your face too, man.
Yeah, yeah. So
Marty, another home run for the Sox. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it was the theme that I opened the show with. Is like things are starting to round into form. The first quarter is over. We're warm. The people that we liked, the people we said to look out for, the people that we didn't like, it's starting to take a little bit of shape. So let's see what week 5 brings. But I would go Gainwell. But everybody else will go Gainwell before Herbert. So that's why you put in the claim for Gainwell, and then you just pluck Herbert for free. You're going to wake up tomorrow morning and Herbert's going to be on the waiver wire. Nobody, unless you're watching this show, is picking him up. 10% of people. Everybody's going, Damian Williams.
One more time.
Josh Reynolds. And how about that? Josh Reynolds outproduced Ickheim. Ickheim had nothing until the last drive. He had one, and then he wound up with 3 catches. But Josh Reynolds outproduced him. You like that, Sean?
He had a bunch of targets, man. Josh Reynolds was definitely the go-to in a game that there really wasn't very much in the air. But I had to take the Marty thing off. Another Red Sox home run, I know. That's what I looked at my watch. It told me. I shook my head, and then we listened to guess again.
Your watch said your blood pressure just went up.
It did. It's like, why is your heart rate at 120? Spencer was here. He laughed about what you're saying. Good call. You know what, man? You were worried about that Hill trade. You thought you weren't getting the best value. You got the best player out of everybody, and now you also have Hill that could be the guy. So kudos to you, man. Jeremy saying I was a Hill fan as well. We're not saying that you definitely were. It's just the trade that he made that we were talking about previously, PMs and stuff like that. Right. It was a great call, man.
Yeah, well, I think Jeremy made a comment on his post about it. I think, if I remember correctly, Jeremy was like, yeah, I could see Taysom Hill being the starters type of thing. Kudos to you both, man. Like,
I agree.
It should have been more obvious to us all. Bravo. Like, I love it. Next week will be answers by Spencer and Jeremy.
All right. I have Gainwell. Picked them up 2 weeks ago. That's good, man. Glad to hear. I've got Damian Williams. Would you scoop Pirine or Gainwell if possible? So Gainwell, I would assume, would be the one.
Yeah. Like, Pirine, what he has going for him is he played in Washington, and some of the coaching staff in Cincinnati, they love him. And they brought him over there, and he fits well into their scheme. And he will be the starter, but I think that with Mixon out, you're going to see an extra dose of Evans. Pirine, if it's not Gainwell, because Gainwell is not available in a lot of leagues because he was scooped. Pirine's the number 2 at this point for this week of waiver wires. So I'm saying if you get Damian, but you already have him, then you're going to miss out on Pirine. So my suggestion, because we want to stay outside the box, we want to stay ahead of the curve, it's what we do, was to get Chris Evans. Pirine is going to be, if Mixon's out this week, the main guy, but Gainwell has season-long value. Mixon will be back. His injury is not super severe at this point, as far as we know, which is crazy because that was a Thursday night game and we hardly have a lot of information. But I think at most we're looking at like a week, maybe two.
I was just about to say the same thing. Like, that Mixon is going to be coming back. Yes, you're right. He may miss a week, but they're even saying he's day to day. He's
Right.
already limited practices at the beginning of the week. So it's like the fact that he's even practicing, will he miss a game? Are you
Right.
wasting then picking up P Ryan when you could get a Gainwell? And
Right.
like I said, if you don't get P Ryan, Evans is out there. That could be a potential right there as
Right.
well. So
Yeah, I would get Gainwell and then I'd pluck Evans. I'd have both.
all right, it's Atlanta, yes, where Jets are going against them. He does look nice though. As far as Hill, I'm assuming. That's what I thought. Mac looked cheesy.
Yeah.
John with the question. I have Hawkinson and Goddard super flex. Stick with Hawk? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't see a reason not to. I mean, play the matchups. But Philly's throwing the ball a ton. Jalen Hurts, I think, is the number 3 quarterback in fantasy at this point. Um, I think you stick with Hawk. I think you play the matchups. I haven't looked at who they're playing yet this week. I typically get into all that right around after the
Eagles
Thursday
are at
game.
Panthers, Lions at Vikings.
Yeah, I stick with Hawkinson. Yeah, I like them both this week, but
Yeah,
might as
division
well
games
because
too, man.
the week you switch them is the week it screws you.
Always happens.
It's just how it is.
Dave with the question: Crowder and or Davis this week for his Falcons.
Yeah, the issue you run into with Crowder is like we opened the show with. I've always been a fan of Crowder since back in Washington. Loved him in college as well. Um, you run into the issue of, is this when he gets hurt again? Um, I like them both this week. Go back to season 1 probably of Answers by Guess, and we talked about these London games. I swear it's a conspiracy. They want it to be high scoring to get the fans involved. They've been living their life with soccer, 0-0, tie game, so exciting. They want football, tons of scoring, tons of excitement, universal sport branding. So I think that should be a quite high scoring game. I want both if I can fit them and I don't have better options. The safer one is Davis, simply because he probably has a better chance of making it through the game healthy. However, the safer one is Crowder because he is clearly the safety blanket check down guy. So you can play both. I got nothing against that. Going against Atlanta's secondary.
I think you're 100% correct. Crowder is the save it because think of the target share that's going to be going to Crowder. If Davis doesn't have that bomb, what is he putting up? A 3-30 something compared to 4-111. I mean, it
Right.
was at a 50 something yard pass. I mean,
Well,
60 yard pass.
you're also going to have Atlanta prep for that. You're going to have them plan for Crowder. They see last week's tape. They saw last year's tape. So that's going to open up things for Davis, but it doesn't change the fact that Crowder is his safety blanket. Crowder will get open. It's what Crowder does. Crowder did exactly what I said on Sunday, exactly what you prompted me to say, that he is the tight end, basically, for the Jets. They have no serviceable tight end, and that's Crowder. Crowder's the guy, the safety blanket over the middle, get close, run the little digs. So I like them both, David.
All right, Josh, with the question: Is it time to try to move on from CD Lamb?
Uh, I mean, nothing against Lamb. He was somebody in the preseason I wasn't in love with. I felt like he was being a little overdrafted. I'm a Michael Gallup guy. Um, I think that what we've seen the past couple weeks, at least with Lamb, is defenses just making sure that he's not the one that beats them. And Josh, I think the moment you move on from Lamb it's the moment that Lamb does something that makes you, kick yourself in the butt. Um, they'll adjust. They're right now the tight ends are taking over for the coverage on Lamb and Michael Gallup not being there. Gallup comes back, tight ends will still be there. Defense got somebody else to move to worry about. But now defense are like, well, geez, these tight ends scored 4 touchdowns the past 2 weeks. We gotta check them. It makes sense that Lamb should probably have a pretty good week this week. It's just the way it goes.
They're playing the Giants too, man. Those two guys hate each other. I think they're going to be throwing the ball all over them. They want to show that they have what it takes to win the NFC East, and they're going to stomp every one of their divisional partners as much as possible. So I think you're right. I think CD is actually going to have a good game. I'm starting CD. I was kind of worried about him as well. Then I saw he's playing the Giants, and I want every bit of action on that one. Jeremy, but who of those guys are you going to get the most burn? Rojo might be more reliable than Herbert. He did score a touchdown.
Yeah. Listen, nobody is a bigger Ronald Jones fan than me.
That is very true.
Like, you don't have to tell me. They just have to play him because nobody is a bigger Ronald Jones hater than his head coach. You put him in the game, he's better than Leonard Fournette. I don't care what Leonard Fournette. I like Leonard Fournette. Before he got traded from Jacksonville, his last year in Jacksonville, I loved Leonard Fournette. My plan was to draft Leonard Fournette in the first round. Then he got cut, and then the rest is history with James Robinson, and I told you about him. I like Leonard Fournette, but Ronald Jones is a better all-around running back. But he needs the reps. He needs the snaps. And when he gets them, he does exactly what you just said. He did score a TD. That's what happens. The problem is Bruce Arians yanks him and benches him, punishes him. Instead of being good cop every once in a while, good dad, say, all right, go out there and prove to me that you can do it. I know you made a mistake, but I'm going to give you another chance. He doesn't do that. He not only took him out in week 2 for the whole game, then he didn't even play him week 3. Gave him burn week 4. Look what happened. So we don't know how Herbert is going to get used, but common sense tells us that, well, they did Monty and Williams, so now they would do Williams and Herbert. And Williams is banged up. If Williams gets hurt at all tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Herbert is the number 1. So I would grab him and have that choice to make on Sunday.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And you got to pay attention to Giovanni Bernard. If Bernard's out again, Rojo's going to get touches. That's what it came down to. Bernard wasn't there last week. That's why Rojo got more burn, and that's why he more than likely got the touchdown and got the red line. The red zone carries, because Gio was that guy in the red zone just in case if it needed to be dumped off. So I think that's what you pay attention to. You pick up Herbert, and then you make the decision on Sunday based on Giovanni Bernard and what they're saying as far as Williams. Thoughts on Alex Collins with Seattle?
It's crazy because Chris Carson's another one of those guys that I was just like, I don't want anything to do with it. Pete Carroll doesn't want him to be the guy, no matter how good he does. Last Tuesday I was on the show, and I basically said, Chris Carson just keeps getting it done. I still don't like him, but he keeps getting it done. So you like him, keep playing him. And then this week, what happened? It's like he disappeared. They use Alex Collins. I think Alex Collins is going to be your Peyton Barber of this week. People are going to go out and pick him up, and it's just a waste of a roster space. Tried to tell you all Peyton Barber was a waste. I think Alex Collins fits the bill. Alex Collins is actually better than Peyton Barber in my mind. But we know what Alex Collins is. He's been in the league for like 13 years, it seems like. Um, they have 4 or 5 running backs there. Chris Carson's not going anywhere. For whatever reason, Pete Carroll just doesn't like him, and leave him alone. I'd leave him alone. That's my thought. It's like my thought is like, oh, there's his name again. It seems like every year we see his name every once in a while.
Yeah, and I mean, from I guess the offensive coordinator came out saying that was kind of a fluke almost in a way. Chris Carson's their guy. Alex Collins got burned because Carson needed a breather, or so on and so forth. That's not talking the guy up in any way. Yeah, I mean, that's what makes me worried. Once they're saying things like that, I wouldn't be looking to start somebody like that. Oh my God, tanks. You're welcome.
I didn't know if he was saying thanks or if he was wanted to write Yanks. Did the Yankees do something well?
Oh no, they're horrible. Evaldi is destroying them right now. I think he's up to like 60 something pitches going into the 6th inning. So if Stan's home run was actually a home run, I think that changed the game, but that's something else. That's a different show. Thoughts on Bateman coming off IR?
Did they take him off?
I don't
Or
know.
are you asking, do I think they will?
I'm gonna go with he's still on IR. Do
Yeah.
you think he will come off IR? I'm assuming that question is, and there's a possibility that it is this week. It's a Monday nighter too.
Yeah, it was close this past week. He's rounding in a form. They had 21 days from about a week ago. So they got 14 days left to activate him. It'll happen, and he should be used. He's better than anyone else they have. Might even be better than Marquise Brown. He had a good week last week. He could have had an amazing week 2 weeks ago. Drop those passes. Two different types of football players. Bateman's going to be a bit more of a possession, like a Metcalf type of guy to Tyler Lockett, Marquise Brown. If that's how you kind of want to think
Excellent
about
way to
it.
describe it. Yep.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman's going to be a DK. So, yeah, if you want to scoop him, go ahead. Because what's the worst that can happen? You drop him if he sucks. But I think that he could be a big steal for somebody. I grabbed him a week or 2 ago. Put him on my IR.
They drafted him high for a reason, man.
Yeah.
If Sterling Shepard plays, is he a start?
Well, it's against Dallas, right? He has soft tissue injury, right? Hamstring.
I believe
He's
it is a
he's got to practice in full for 2 days in a
hamstring.
row. 2 days in a row, full practice. Then yeah, I'd start him. But you've got Kenny Galladay rounding into form. Um, Colin Johnson's looked good for them. Tony had a good week last week. We saw coming. Squeaky wheel gets the oil with him. So they have weapons. If he practices in full without a setback for 2 days in a row, Thursday, Friday, something like that, even tomorrow, Thursday, yeah. But I mean, they have weapons, and Barkley's turning it on, which we saw coming. So Ingram's back. So it's like it's no longer just Sterling Shepard, which it was the first couple of weeks. And I like Sterling Shepard, and he was somebody I said to go after in the preseason. But I don't know if he's a must start. You probably have a better option that you use this week to help you.
All right. Start a healthy Higgins this week. Expected to come back. And you know what? Describe a little bit as far as how that will affect Boyd and Chase.
Well, I said a couple weeks ago, after I think it was week 2, maybe after week 1 Tuesday show, that I didn't care anything about that week 1 game. Tyler Boyd is the best one they got. at least for fantasy purposes, I said he's going to catch 100 passes. And since then, he's balled out. Now, Higgins' injury has helped that come to fruition, but Chase ain't going nowhere. Chase is clearly, he might not be the most targeted, but he's his favorite. He's Joe Burrow's favorite. That's his boy. That's his boy. They went to
They're
college
buddies.
together. They play. Yeah. Higgins coming back just makes him more firepower, more explosive. It helps those two. It will lower their targets, obviously, but it helps them because it draws a little bit of the coverage away. I think Higgins, the one thing that's going to happen this week is you're probably going to have people going out and getting CJ Uzoma because he scored 2 touchdowns. But it's like this dude has been around, like this is as good as it gets. That's not happening. If Higgins comes back, goodbye, Uzoma. Goodbye.
Sorry.
This
Yeah, Rizzo hit a home run.
one?
All right. You know what's funny is that I agree with you, but they're playing Green Bay this week. So I would temper my expectation. Higgins is the big guy. Jamar Chase, everyone's thinking is the big guy. T. Higgins last year made a really big splash. When teams are preparing, they're not. I think they would prepare for Higgins to say a little bit more than they would prepare for Chase, just because Chase hands are still not there and so on and so forth. But still, don't get me wrong. Alexander's on him. I'm pretty sure Alexander's going to be on both of them a little bit, but I'm going to say that they don't want T. Higgins to beat them. So just again, temper expectations for starting a healthy Higgins this week, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. My thought, temper your expectations. If you got a better option, use them. But there's going to be a ton of volume in that game because, you saw what Jacksonville offense did to Cincinnati defense. I wasn't buying the Cincy defense. I said Jacksonville would have no problem moving the ball for the most part. They were pretty good, and Green Bay is rolling. So Green Bay is going to score. Cincinnati will have to score. That game will probably be a shootout, so you'll have some volume at worst.
I was waiting for A-Rod to do the discount double check when he ran into the end zone this week.
He's over
He
it.
did not. Yeah. It's sad. Like he looks like he's playing football, but it doesn't look like he's happy. Like I know he's smiling and joking around and stuff like that, but that's not the Aaron Rodgers we've seen in the past.
I think he's. You know what? I was going to say I think he's going with the Bill Belichick approach, but the game against the Niners, he showed a ton of emotion on that last drive. When they got down and he spiked it, he was pumped because he knew we got him in field goal game range. We're going to win this. He knew Crosby was going to make it. He was pumped. So there was some emotion. Last week was like ho hum. It was like, yeah, Pittsburgh's coming. They ain't got nothing. He's just like, I just go handle my biz.
I would like to see a shootout between him and Burrow. I really think this could be a very interesting game.
It's coming. The Green Bay defense has been playing kind of too good. It's going to fall off.
Jeremy said, but sadly I dropped him. I don't remember who him is, to be honest with you.
Sorry.
Rojo? No, you were saying we were talking up Rojo. Spencer, no. As soon as I think I know what I'm doing, goes down the tubes. Have faith in yourself, man. Thoughts on Mac Jones after Sunday night?
He is who I thought he was. I told Rob, this is like the fifth time I feel like I say every week. I'll continue to say it every week. Draft night, they selected Mac Jones. I texted Rob. I said, Tom Brady 2.0. Those were my words. Because I knew that that's what it would be. And then I talk about this every week. And, maybe we'll make this a Tuesday thing. I'll reevaluate these 5 quarterbacks. After last week, I said Trevor Lawrence has to be number 1. He hasn't been great, but I moved him up. Originally, I had him at 3. I had Mac Jones at 2, Zach Wilson at 1. That was my prediction. I think after this week, I'm putting probably Trevor Lawrence at 4 or 5. I mean, I'm probably moving Lance and Fields above him. and certainly moving Wilson and Jones above him. So I think Wilson's on the bottom, or Lawrence on the bottom. Like, he looked terrible making decisions. He took way too long to get the ball out on check downs. His read option was disgusting. Um, Trey Lance did what he did and the shot that he had. Um, Fields came back. Wilson did exactly what we thought he would. I'd probably put, I think, Mac Jones number one after this week's performance against the Bucks. I mean, he went toe to toe. He was pretty lights out against the Bucks defense. In a tough game in the wet weather, putting the ball on people, standing in the pocket, not scared of anything. I'd probably put Mac Jones at number one after this week. Zach Wilson two. I'll go Lance and Fields in a tie for third, and we'll put Lawrence at five.
I remember last Thursday when we were watching, you were watching the game, I was watching the game. You were just texting me. He's like, "Why the hell does Trevor Lawrence keep on running backwards? Why is he running backwards?" It didn't make sense, and it's just trying to avoid the sack, obviously. But you can't run backwards in football, and that never ends well. I mean, how many times did he go out of bounds, not getting back to the line of scrimmage? I mean, you could look at it.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about Mac Jones and this game that just happened on Sunday. The Patriots lost. Tom Brady didn't win, in my opinion.
The
Patriots
kicker lost.
The kicker lost the game, but everyone, you see the media. Tom Brady beats Belichick. Tom Brady did that. No, the Patriots missed the field goal to lose the game.
And if JJ Taylor did not fumble, they go up by 2 touchdowns. I think that game's just about over. About over.
The week 4 guesstimator, I think Nick and I were texting each other at the same time. As soon as that fumble happened, he goes, "Well, there goes the guesstimator."
Never came back again.
We didn't see. I don't even think he was on the sideline anymore after that.
Yeah, he had to go home. Belichick booked him a ticket. He's like, "You don't live in New England anymore. Go somewhere else."
Knox or Goddard for tight end?
Goddard. It's got to be Goddard. Goddard preseason, Goddard every week so far.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't hear anything.
Damn. Got called out at home. Sorry. Just mayhem happening behind me.
That's okay. We'll be quick here.
Drop Eli Mitchell for Damian Williams.
Sheesh.
Shanahan was talking him up, man. They're saying they can't wait to get Eli Mitchell back.
I don't know if I would. I mean, Sermon looked better last week, but we knew that was going to happen because we knew the matchup was great. And I said it on Sunday, I said, it's just a shame that Eli Mitchell is not healthy enough to come back for this game because Eli Mitchell would take the job and never give it back. Unfortunately, Sermon is going to have another chance against one of the worst rush defenses, and he had 89 yards. He was much better. I don't know.
A little different this week, man. I mean, they're going up against the Cardinals defense, which has been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
So if Eli Mitchell's out again and Sermon doesn't do something, Eli Mitchell is somebody that I'm thinking long-term on.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably would just hold on to Mitchell.
Unless you need a running back that you need to start this week. This is the week to start Damian Williams because if he isn't injured, it's going against the Raiders, who we just saw got beat up by the Chargers in the run game.
Yeah.
Jeremy was saying he dropped Taysom Hill. Sorry, man. That makes sense now. Rookie of the year so far. And thoughts on Darnold leading the league in rushing touchdowns. He's a stud without no gaze. I think I said that.
Most people are.
Him, man. Yeah.
Hashtag the
real. The Taco Man.
Hashtag the real Vanilla Vic, right?
Yeah, right now. I mean, and you're right. We've said it from the beginning. Darnold, without, I'm rooting for the kid. I really think he didn't have the opportunity with the Jets that he should have.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year, though. Who are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough.
Two
I
suggestions he said: Najee and
yeah,
Mac Jones.
I'd have a hard time giving it to Harris. Um, I know that he's been productive the past week and a half, 2 weeks, but the team he's not really helping their team because their team is so bad and it's so hard to give it to somebody with such a terrible team. Um, I don't know if Mac Jones has done enough. I think like if we're going to give it to one of the quarterbacks and we're basing it off just last week, you'd say Mac Jones, especially if he would have if the Patriots would have made the field goal. Um, I don't know. That's a great question. Like after week 2, you would have said Rondale Moore, right? So it's too soon. Um, but I had to give it to one. I gave it to Mac Jones because he's a quarterback, and that's what happens. Um, but I think you have the top two right there so far. But I would guess that what's going to happen if Garoppolo doesn't come back and Dalton doesn't come back, one of those two, Fields or Lance, will probably catapult right up with these guys because they're sexy, they're flashy, they're Lamar, they're Kyler. And that's what we love in today's NFL. So too soon to tell. Sorry, I don't have a definitive answer, but honestly, I have been relatively disappointed in just about every rookie to a degree. I mean, honestly, you want to go toe for toe, who's been the best collectively for 4 weeks? It's probably Jalen Waddle, right?
The most
Like,
targets. I mean, yeah, he's
like
up there too.
he's probably been the most consistent. Last week was a little down, but every other week he's coming through. So it's just too soon to tell. They all have their
Jamar Chase
flaws.
has to be in the conversation as
And
well. I mean,
Smith,
rookie of the month. I mean, one person. I mean, don't get me wrong. Zach Wilson's looked horrible. This game showed. I mean, there was a pass that I think I called. I don't know if it was you or my buddy Mike, but he like flicked his wrist and the ball flew like 45 yards.
yeah,
It was amazing. Oh, it's a Keelan Cole on the outside when they were trying to score again during overtime. Like it came off his wrist. It was just with such ease
yeah.
that I was
Well,
like, man, oh man.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned Chase, but Smith too. I mean, it's
Oh,
just,
Devonta Smith, yeah.
but every single one of these guys out of 4 weeks has had at least one ugly dud, if not
Right.
two, if not
Yeah,
two.
well, Zach Wilson's the first 3 weeks have been ugly duds pretty much,
So
but
it's way too soon to tell. There's too many cooks in the kitchen.
I agree. Najee is that team. Him and Deontay are the ones, the go-tos. Claypool, obviously being out. Juju's just a shell of what he used to be. I mean, it's not for me. I
Yeah.
mean, sorry. Najee is yeah. The Pittsburgh. I don't know. That team frustrates me. Let's go to the Thursday night game.
Hey,
Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. Rams got beat up a little bit. Cardinals put them in check. The fumble by Michelle makes a big difference, I think, in that game. Obviously, Cooper Kupp still did okay. Bobby Woods, are we really concerned now? I mean, Van Jefferson seems to be that second go-to guy now. Bobby Woods is kind of getting fired up and lit up to be burnt out, it seems like. I don't know. Talk about that. And Henderson, is this a reliable option on a weekly basis? On the flip side, we kind of talked about Carson already. People asked about Alex Collins. The thing I'm worried about is DK Metcalf, banged up, limited, seems like in practice so far. What happens if he doesn't go? Does it just become Lockett? Is Swain somebody we should be looking at catching another touchdown?
answers by Rob. You see, he brought him up. That's why tonight that is our show. Answers by Rob. Yeah, I'm not. Swain is not somebody that you're really going out and grabbing. But I think Rob bringing his name up last week and him scoring again certainly gives some merit to put him on at least your watch list. And let's just see what happens because Metcalf's banged up, like you said, and Lockett gets hurt a lot. So they're always going to need another option. Gerald Everett's still in the COVID protocol. Nobody really wants to do much with it. It's still Disley over there. They got 18 running backs. Um, Listen, the Rams are going to be angry. This is in Seattle, which is going to help Seattle. I think DK will be just fine. I think Ramsey will be pretty much on him. I think they're going to have to take a couple deep shots with Lockett. If Everett comes back, it's going to help their offense. But I kind of worry in this one. My gut is that the Rams can't go into this game with sort of the same type of plan that they had last week against the Cardinals. Now, granted, the Cardinals are in the same game plan that they had the first 3 weeks before that. The Cardinals are, and I said it after week one, they're like my dark horse defense. And then the week after I said it, they kind of pooped, but they still won the game. But then they come back and they show last week, like, hey, guess it wasn't too bad of a call. We got you. But I think the Rams are going to go into this with an idea of we've got Henderson. We can't keep Michelle in the doghouse from the fumble. We got Mr. Funk, who Rob alluded to. And we're going against the worst rushing defense in the league. We're in their place. We got punched in the mouth by a similar type of offense. We need to run the ball a little bit. We need to control the clock in this one. So I think the Rams go into this game. Now, that doesn't mean you're sitting Cooper Kupp. No. But you could sit Robert Woods, even though you know what's going to happen when you do it, because he hasn't done it yet. But I'm not going to say it. And I'm fine sitting him. I think the Rams are going to go in this trying to run the ball. I think the Seahawks are going to have a little bit of trouble on offense because that defense is going to be a little pumped up after what happened last week to them. Short weeks are good. I think this happened, was it in between week one and week two? Same type of situation where it's like a short week is good. Because if after you got a tough loss and you got beat down and you're down.
Sorry, man, you're going in and out.
Well, hopefully everybody else can hear me. What I'm saying is a short week is good for the Rams here because they had a down week where they got punched in the mouth and they got, I don't know, for lack of a better term, embarrassed. Everybody thought they were going to steamroll the Cardinals. Short week is good because they're angry. And that feeling's not going away by Thursday. And they're going to come out and they're going to take out that frustration on defense. And they're going to run the ball as much as possible on offense and control the clock. Keep Seattle's offense off the field. But you play Kupp. Would not be surprised if Higbee scores a touchdown this one. And if he's your tight end, like I said on Sunday, like I said last Tuesday, it's about as good as it gets. So you play him. Gerald Everett probably can't play because I don't know if he's going to be activated by then. I'd stay away from all of those Seahawks running backs. And if it's not DK or Tyler Lockett in a wide receiver 3 or flex, I'd stay away from my Seahawks as well, except the two quarterbacks. You can play the two quarterbacks. I think that Russell Wilson will probably outplay Stafford, and that's just because I think the Rams are going to attack the Seattle rush defense. Would not be surprised if Seattle wins this game, but I think the Rams win it like a 24-22. Something weird, a bunch of field goals, maybe even a safety in there. Close game.
I agree with you with the Russell Wilson call, just because even though you don't know who he's throwing it to, he's an older version of Kyler Murray. He's going to run the ball. You saw him. He ran on the outside. He scored the touchdown. I'm going to hope for those type of points because I can see him doing the same kind of thing. When they get close, it's going to be a QB sneak. It may not even be one of those running backs that they're looking to punch it in. So definitely something to pay attention to. Do you think Van Jefferson is actually worth a flex option? I mean, obviously you wouldn't start him in the flex, but is that something that you can look at against the Seattle defense who just isn't good?
See, I don't know. I feel like the Van last week was a And I like Van Jefferson. We've been talking about him since last season when he was rookie. I think Van was more of a product of that game flow. They got down early. They had to play catch up. They threw the ball. Van Jefferson got open. Van Jefferson got production. I think the game plan for the Rams is going to be control the clock, run the ball. You're in a hostile environment. Their rush defense is terrible. Run, run, run. That's with explosive as their offense is, Matt Stafford, the 3 wide receivers, even Higbee. I just think that their game plan has to be, even though the Rams are not that team, right? They're high flying, flashy. Their game plan has to be. So that's how I would attack it from a fantasy standpoint. I would say, okay, Cup, you're going in. Everybody else can sit unless I really have to play Henderson, then that's fine. And my Seahawks, I'll play my top 2 guys. That's it. And I just think it's going to be a tick, 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 run, 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 control, control, control. You're not going to see, unless the Seahawks somehow embarrass the Rams defense again, and the Rams get caught in catch up, I think that we're a little lower scoring and we're a little slower game pace than we're used to. The Rams don't want to fall to 2-2 or 3-2 or whatever. And they could on the road. So they know they have to go into this and play careful and play thoughtful and go with their strengths. They got 2 good running backs, 2.5 if you want to count Mr. Funk, who I love. Going against the worst rush defense, you go into this saying, we got to run the ball. We got to be smart with our passes. We can't just go chuckling it down the field because the Seahawks will get the ball and they'll do what Arizona did to us. We can't lose 2 in a row.
Yeah, very true, man. Let's see what happens. It's, hopefully a good game, but you're right. It could be a more defensive, lower scoring game. Alan, is there any hope for my Giants after our first win? Daniel Jones is a damn good quarterback. Not getting the credit he's due.
Preseason pick to win the NFC East. So, yes. And Alan, nothing against you. Don't take it personal. I hate the Giants. Can't stand them. And mostly it's because of Giants fans. But not
like
you. Yeah. But listen, hey, Rob's like my best friend, right? I hate the Yankees. You want to know why I hate the Yankees? Yankee fans. I live in New York. I'm surrounded by these people. And they annoy me because when things are going good, they won't shut their mouths. And when things are going bad, it's like they're under a rock. And like it's just like, get out of my ear with your stuff. You're annoying. No offense to either one of you, Rob or Alan. But I bring it.
Answers by Rob.
Yeah, I bring it up. I bring it up because I picked the Giants to win the NFC East. And I don't even like them. I just think that they're the best team in the division. So any hope for them? Yes, they will win the division. You'll be good. You'll be good. Then you know what? And this is another reason why I hate the Giants. And you can rub it in my face. You can say, yeah, screw you, guess. Because they always beat the Packers.
They do. They have the Packers number for some reason.
Except for a couple years ago. A couple years ago, Green Bay beat them. The last time the Giants were in the playoffs.
If you think about it, I mean, from an NFC East perspective, all those teams are very similar in the type of players that they have. Dak being the best quarterback right now, but Daniel Jones isn't that far behind, to be honest with you. I mean, I just think that Mike McCarthy is really good in the beginning of the season. He's not good to make adjustments throughout the season. So that's what always the Cowboys start off hot. And then it's like, okay, we're going to cool off a little. And then it's struggling to make the playoffs at the end of the season. So, again, the NFC East just seems to do that up and down thing. But Vanilla Vic, you never know.
Yeah, I'll say this. As it is right now, the Cowboys are by far the best team in the NFC East. But my preseason pick was the Giants. So we'll see.
Does ABG League have payout for the most points?
No, we did not do that, right? We were just going to do first and second, and then in the group chat, I believe everybody wanted third place to get their money back. So that's what we did. So it's just those three. Um, that's it.
That's right, guys. Answers by guess. Always remember to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Some new videos are coming out tonight, too, guys, that we've been working on. So, yeah, look out for those, share those, and guess anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Our Sunday show will be Saturday night because the London game is on at like 9:30 Eastern in the morning, and rather than do a 7 a.m. show, we're going to do a Saturday night show. Now, I must preface this with the fact that we don't have all the facts on Saturday night. We don't have all the feelings either. So we might say or do a few things Saturday night that could change by Sunday morning. However, we'll be involved watching the game, we'll be involved being dads and husbands, but we will do our best to adjust. And rather than scramble to try and get a hold of us, maybe what we'll do is we'll try and take real aggressive notes, myself and Rob, if you don't mind, on Saturday to the things that are said and discussed and what could change. And if there are any changes, we'll probably post it right on the page. We'll just put a post, and that way everybody sees it, and that way you're not waiting for us to write you back. Like if we have a change, we'll make a post. We'll be like, I no longer like this guy, or I like this guy more than this guy now. You could ask questions by all means, but I just know we're going to be busy. We're going to be watching the game, and then it's going to jump right into the other games, and I don't want anything to get lost in the sauce. So just pay attention to the page, and we'll remind you this Saturday night when you're watching us.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to it. All right, guys. Answers by guess. We'll see you next time. Saturday
Answers by
night.
Rob. Answers by Rob.
Later,
See
guys.
ya.